Yo everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm sure you've guessed what this video is about from the title. This is going to be my top 10 favorite foundations for Indian, Pakistani, tan and medium skin. The only reason that I am very specific in Indian Pakistani purely because I am half Indian and half Pakistani. Obviously that does not mean that if you're not from either of those countries that this video is not relevant to you. There are plenty of people that are from Mexico, China, the Philippines, Spain that are the same colour as me. I don't want people to feel restricted in that, oh, this video isn't necessarily relevant to them. If you have tan skin or medium tone skin, hopefully you will find this video helpful. Now, I last did this video a year and a half ago. I actually had a look and I thought, you know what? A lot of those foundations, yes, they are still favorites of mine, but things have moved on in the past year and a half. I've tried different types of foundations. I've got new favorites now. My holy grail used to be, I can't even remember what it was. It's something completely different now. So I wanted to kind of do an updated version of that video. So I hope that you guys will find this video helpful, a little bit useful. Now for reference, in MAC, I'm an NC40. In the winter and in the summer, I'm more of an NC42. So my colour slightly changes. I tend to stay out of the sun. When I was in my 20s, I used to lie and roast in the sun and change all kinds of different shades. But I stopped doing that as I got into my 30s because I am very much aware of skin damage by the sun. Sun causes aging and that sort of thing. So in that respect as well, that's kind of helped with the whole picking foundations as well, in that I don't have to get a new shade every 5 minutes. So the foundations that I'm going to show you as well, the reason that I've picked them as my favorite in specific for tan skins is because they cater for tan skins. There are still brands out there that I personally feel that are still kind of trying to get there. An example I'll give you is Tarte Cosmetics. Now the brand themselves are a pretty good brand. I like their products. However, I have always found difficulty in finding the right foundation shade. I found them too peachy, too beige. And if you are Indian or Pakistani, generally 90% of the time you will have very strong yellow undertones. That's just how we are made. And if you have tan skin, obviously, so it kind of goes hand in hand. Olive skin, if you're from South America, whatever it may be. So I always find Tarte to be a little bit difficult. I do feel slightly hypocritical in saying that because right now on my face I am actually wearing a Tarte foundation. I'm wearing the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea foundation and I'm using the shade Medium Tan Sand. And I'm sure on video you're thinking, it looks alright on her. Yeah, it's okay. But even still, I've got another one of those, the Amazonian clay one, and it just makes me look like I've got a white cast over my face. The ones that I'm going to show you are the ones that I feel personally cater more towards women of colour in a lot better way. Now, I haven't shown NARS foundations as well. I do love the Sheer Glow one, but it's not in my top 10. Now, when I did do this video once upon a time, I do remember people saying, why didn't you pick this? Why didn't you pick that? This is a favourite. Is this not that good? Well, no, it's my top 10. That might be number 11 or number 12. This is my top 10. You have to remember, these are my favourites. That doesn't necessarily mean that the one that you may think is really good is not good. So just bear that in mind. The first one I'm going to show you is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place makeup. This one, it was actually in that previous video, which I will link below. And I've done a review on it. I will link that below as well. I think, yeah, pretty much all the foundations I'm going to show you I have already filmed reviews on, so I'll link all of them below so that you can see them in a lot more detail. Otherwise this video will just be way too long if I start doing reviews on it. Now the shade that I've got it in is 3W2 Cashew, and I will be honest with you, this shade, I seem to have got slightly darker. Even in the winter now, my skin is a slightly different colour. So I am going to have to try out a different shade, and I'm happy to try it out. But this foundation in general is an amazing foundation. The shade range is absolutely massive, from fair to medium to dark. And this is the one and only foundation that I've got that is literally non-transferable. I suffer from quite severe allergies. I have rhinitis, and certain times of the year, depending on what allergies I've sniffed up my nose, I sneeze a lot. When I blow my nose on the tissue, the makeup does not come off. This is the only foundation that does that, and that is one of the reasons why I love it. It's such a great foundation. Plus, there is a massive range that caters towards medium to tan skin tone. So my next favourite is the Born This Way foundation by Too Faced. And you're probably wondering why I'm holding up two. So this one is the shade Sand and this one is the shade Golden. Now again, it depends on the time of year it is, which one of these that I tend to use. Sometimes I mix the two and they seem to match okay, but generally I think that their range is pretty good. They have expanded their range as well, and I don't know if they've actually expanded it as far into the UK yet, but I know in Sephora and other places like that you can get a lot more shades. So I do really like wearing this. This one is a buildable foundation, a medium to buildable foundation. It gives a beautiful, lovely, natural skin type finish, and that's one of the reasons why I love it. Me personally, I have got marks on my skin, I've got acne scars, I've got pigmentation, I've even got eczema around my face at the moment. So this is the kind of foundation where I don't have to pile it on in order to get a nice and natural kind of finish. It really covers all the scarring that I've got, and it's definitely one of my holy grail foundations. I just love the natural finish that it gets. When we wear full face foundation, we don't want to have that caked on look that can make people look just overly done. So I am really happy with this. Is one of my favorite foundations. This is one of the newer foundations by MAC, the MAC Pro Longwear Nourishing Waterproof Foundation. And the shade that I've got this is in NC42. And the reason I have it in NC42 is because there is no NC40 in this range. Why? But I seem to find that this works really well for my NC40 skin. Maybe that's the reason why they didn't bring out an NC40, because the NC42 actually runs a little bit lighter, maybe. Now, I love the fact that this is, again, a medium to buildable foundation. You can build it up to full coverage. It's got quite a thick consistency, but that doesn't bother me so much. You do have to work it in quite quickly to the skin to get a nice, seamless finish. It is waterproof, yes. It works well when you go outside in the rain. It doesn't cause your foundation to streak, which is great. And I love the fact that it's long wearing, because it is a pro long wear foundation, so you get upwards of 12 hours of wear. Now what I did was I recently went to Canada, and when I got on the flight, or before I got on the flight, which was a 7.5 hour flight to Toronto, I wore this foundation. When I got off at the other end, my foundation was still perfect. After 20 hours, then I started to shine a little bit. So that just goes to show that this is such an excellent foundation to wear when you know you're going to be out and about literally all day and maybe all night as well, and you don't have time to worry about patchiness, about fading, about having to touch anything up. This foundation works amazingly for that. And of course, MAC being MAC, there is a massive range of shades for people to choose from. An oldie but a goodie, this is the original MAC Pro Longwear foundation, and the shade that I've got this one in is NC40. Now, I did do a review on this, and that review is so old, it's almost embarrassing to look back at it. I will link it below. It's like 5 years old when this first came out. Let's just say my makeup game weren't as great as it might be now. I like to believe that I have moved on since then. I mean, practice makes perfect, right? So it is always good to look back at some of my old videos and see how I look now and think, you know what? With practice, I can get better. I'm not going to like toot my own horn and say I'm the best in the world, but I do like to think that I've got a lot better at my makeup application. And I did do a review on that, so I will link that below. Again, for the same reason as the previous one, I love the fact that it stays on the face all day long. It gives a really nice kind of semi-matte sort of finish, so it makes the skin look quite natural. And it has an SPF 10 in it as well, which is great, but you do get a little bit of flashback purely because of when you take photos, because of the fact that it has got SPF in it. But generally, this is one of my favorite foundations. Studio Fix foundation, I know a lot of people love it. I personally think it's okay. I don't think it's great. I think that this one is a lot better than the Studio Fix foundation. For those of you that may be interested specifically in MAC, is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation stick. Now, this is something that I got quite recently, and when I say recently, as in 2016. I think all the ones that I'm going to show you below are from 2016 or the end of 2015. Now, this is a stick foundation, as the name suggests. I've only got a tiny bit left because I have used it to death. The shade I've got mine in is Y405, which is apparently equivalent to 153 in Makeup Forever. I'm going to have to disagree because I've tried Makeup Forever's 153 and it made me look orange. So this one does not make me look orange. So just bear that in mind. I love the fact that this is, again, a medium to buildable coverage foundation. I love the really nice dewy finish that you get to the skin. Now, I've got normal to combination skin, meaning I get shiny across my T-zone. Now, wearing this one, you get that little bit of dewiness. You get that little bit of glow. it's not a matte foundation, it's not a semi-matte foundation, it's definitely a dewy foundation. If you've got oily skin, you may want to step away from this one. But as somebody who's got normal to combination, I find that this still works quite well. Towards the end of the day, you may get a little bit of movement because of the natural oils in your skin, but generally I love this foundation. I love the fact that it's got a different finish to what I'm normally used to wearing, which is kind of semi-matte foundations. I'm not a big fan of really, really matte, and I'm not a big fan of very, very dewy either. And I'm also not a fan of sheer coverage foundations because I need that coverage, and you definitely get that with this. This one is very easy to apply, builds up nicely into the skin, and again the shade range is absolutely massive. Makeup Forever's foundation ranges are huge, and there is definitely something for everybody. Now, staying on the whole Makeup Forever theme, this is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation, the liquid version. And the shade that I've got mine in is one of the newer shades, and this one is called Y385. When I say newer shades, the original Makeup Forever Ultra Foundation, or whatever it's called, the normal one, did not have the right shade for me. 128, which people said matches NC40, no, it's beige. NC40 is yellow. So that one didn't work well for me. 153, which people say again matches NC40. No, what's wrong with you people? It is very orange. This is another thing when it comes to Asian ladies in particular. Stop trying to make yourselves look so fair. There's no need for it. Get a foundation which matches your skin. It should match your neck. So stop trying to make yourselves look fairer because you think making yourself look fairer is going to make you richer, marry a prince, and earn millions. That's like a whole Asian thing, by the way. I think Asians below, comment below, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, so this one is a newer shade which was not available in the previous range, and I love it. It's made for 4K cameras. This is not a 4K camera because I don't think you want to see the size of my pores in real life. And I love the shade. It's actually a exact perfect match for my skin tone. I color matched myself in Debenhams. This is my third bottle since it came out last summer. I absolutely love it. It gives a lovely, flawless finish to the skin. Again, it is medium to buildable coverage, and the shade range is absolutely massive. There is a shade for everybody. This is one of actually, I'd say this is my favorite foundation. This is my Holy Grail foundation. I absolutely love it. It's excellent, and it wears really well on the skin, and I just can't rave about it enough. I'll link my review below. This is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Foundation. To be exact, the Urban Decay Weightless Ultra Definition Liquid Makeup, and the shade that I've got mine in is 7.0. I have done a review on this which I'll link below. At the time I bought the shade 6.5, I think, and it was a little bit too beige for me, and then eventually it just didn't work for my skin because our skin tones can change the older we get, the younger we get. When I was a baby, I didn't look Asian, let's just put it like that. I was very, 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 very fair. And I've slowly got darker as a child, then I got lighter as a teenager. So, you know, so my skin changed. So the shade I've got mine in now is 7.0, and it's absolutely perfect. I love this foundation. It's got that thing that nail polishes have in it. This one is a medium coverage foundation. Is it buildable? Yes, it is buildable, but it's still, it's more on the more natural side, if that makes sense, because it is the naked skin foundation. It's meant to look like your naked skin. I absolutely love this. I like the way that it builds up. I like the way that it covers my skin, but it still doesn't give that full coverage. Sometimes I don't want that full coverage. Sometimes I want a more natural kind of look, if there is such a thing when you wear makeup. But yeah, surprisingly enough, knowing how I am when it comes to makeup, sometimes I do want to have those days where I'm having a really good skin day, so I don't feel that I need that extra coverage. That's where this one comes in. And again, the shade range is absolutely massive, and they have expanded it over the past year, I think, as well. So there is a shade for everybody. Again, Urban Decay, this is the All Nighter foundation. This is one of their latest foundations. One is called exactly the Urban Decay All Nighter Waterproof Longwear Liquid Foundation. Now, whereas the Makeup Forever one is my HG, this is my second HG, as in Holy Grail foundation. The shade that I've got mine in is 6.0. Now, initially when this foundation came out, I remember I tweeted Urban Decay and I said, are the shades in this range the same as the naked range? They replied back and said yes. So obviously off I went and bought shade 7. 7 made me look orange. All right, it worked for me in the summer when I had a tan, just about. just about. Even then it was a little bit too dark. So basically, just you guys need to bear that in mind, that even Urban Decay got it wrong. I don't know how or why, but they did. But anyway, so I ended up wasting money buying 7.0 because, like I said, even when I'm at my darkest, it was still a little bit too dark, a little bit too orange. And so I went back and I bought the shade 6.0, and it's absolutely perfect. Bear in mind that this foundation does oxidize. That's the reason why. So when you first put it on your skin, you may be like, looks a little bit pale. Give it about an hour, and not even an hour actually, give it about 15-20 minutes and it will automatically start to get a little bit darker. So whatever shade you are in the Naked Skin foundation, get a shade or two lighter in the all-nighter one and you will absolutely love it. I love this. It's full coverage, it blends in beautifully. The shade range is absolutely massive once you finally figure out what shade you are. It gives a really nice natural tinge to the skin. It covers all imperfections. It doesn't settle within any fine lines. It doesn't create any fine lines, and it works throughout the day. I mean, it is an all-nighter foundation, even though I have no idea who would wear something all night on their face, unless of course like you're like me and you were flying on an aeroplane and had no choice. But it does work really, really well. It does transfer. That is something to bear in mind, and it does transfer quite badly, but that's only after about 10 hours of wear, I would say. So this is my second favorite foundation. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Stick Foundation. So Anastasia Beverly Hills only recently came out with this foundation a few months ago. The shade that I bought mine in is in Warm Tan, and their shade range is absolutely huge. It's probably one of the biggest foundation ranges that I've ever seen. And it's not just that, they cover towards people who've got red undertones, golden undertones, porcelain undertones, pink undertones, all kinds of undertones that you can think of, and then even that is broken down to even more shades. The reason I was able to easily pick this is because somebody I follow on Instagram happens to be an NC40, NC42, and she bought this and it matched her, so I bought it and it matched me. I'll link my review to this below. This one is definitely a medium to buildable foundation. It is again a stick foundation, and what can I say, it's lovely to apply to the skin. It's not creamy and dewy like the Makeup Forever Ultra HD stick. This one is definitely more of a drier kind of foundation, if that makes sense. You apply it to your face in lines and then you blend it in with a thick buffer brush, and what I find is that it turns almost into almost like a powder, and that it blends really nicely into the skin. It covers all imperfections. It's definitely buildable. I wouldn't say that it builds up to full coverage unless you apply loads of it, because I know the difference between full coverage and none because of the amount of marks that I've got on my face. I've also got a beauty spot. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's here somewhere. And I always gauge how full coverage a foundation is by how much it covers that up, because even redness and lines on your face and that sort of thing doesn't always necessarily, they're quite easy to cover up. A beauty spot which is almost like a black dot is not. I grow beauty spots, by the way. This never used to be on my face. It's weird. But yes, so I actually think that this foundation is really, really good. It's good for traveling. I took this when I went to Canada with me, and there's no leakage, there's no dropping of foundation. It doesn't really transfer as much as other foundations because of the fact that it turns into an almost like a powder. So there are people out there who don't really like liquid foundations. This is the kind of foundation that you need. This is the Hourglass Vanish Seamless Finish Foundation. One is one of my most recent foundations. You guys obviously know this. I will link the review to this below, which I did quite recently with a demo. I've only just recently started doing demos. No, I didn't do any demos in this video, otherwise we would have been here forever, let's be honest. This I picked up in Canada. It is a pricey foundation, and it is a very, very, very full coverage foundation. Again, it's like a stick like this. It's not like the other two. It's very, very emollient, and that basically, for those who don't know what that means, it means that it's very thick and creamy is the word to use. The shade that I've got mine in is in Golden. The range itself is absolutely huge. Golden is working well for me now while I'm at my fairest, but when I get to the summer I will have to look for another shade. This one is definitely on more of the higher end. For those of you that go to a lot of weddings and functions and need that kind of full coverage look, I mean, this would be amazing for brides as well, because it gives that really gorgeous full coverage look to the face, to the point where you will almost look like a mannequin. And if you're a bride, obviously you want your foundation to be flawless. This would be amazing for you. I mean, let's get real. I live in England. If you're an English bride, English brides tend to be very natural, very rosy cheeks, very nude pink lips. If you're Asian, on the other hand, and you're a bride, you are the complete opposite. You're like bright red lips, full on eyes, full on foundation, full on, just everything is full on. And if you want to go full on properly, I would definitely recommend getting this Hourglass foundation. I love the fact that it is full coverage. I love the fact that it blends in beautifully, and even though it is so thick and creamy, it still gives a beautiful natural finish. I don't really tend to use that much of it, even though if you see in my review it appears that I'm wearing a lot, because I put on 2 layers, but they're 2 quite light layers, and that's the reason why I've done it, just to build up in the areas where I need more coverage, which is normally on my cheeks. As I said, the shade range is absolutely massive, and I love this foundation. It is quite pricey. I bought this in Sephora in Canada and it was $54. So just bear in mind, if you're looking for a high-end full coverage foundation, like I said, if you're a bride, obviously you're going to buy the best makeup possible, because you're only planning to hopefully get married once and you want to look your best. So I would definitely recommend getting a foundation like this. It's absolutely excellent. So that's it for my top 10 favorite foundations at the moment. Maybe I'll make this a yearly thing, who knows, because there are always new types of foundations, new technologies coming out all the time. I will always buy them and review them if possible. Other foundations that I've got on my favorite, the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte. The reason I didn't show it is because the shade Caramel Beige 108, you can't get it in the UK, so I was like, what's the point of showing that? I like the L'Oreal True Match as well. It's another amazing foundation, but it just didn't make it into my top 10. The NARS Sheer Glow I love as well. What else do I love? What else? The Tarte one is okay, but it really clings to my eczema. So that means it will cling to other dry patches. And that's the reason why I have decided not to include it in this. What else? I think that's it, really. The Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk, it's okay, but it is medium coverage. And it's not medium buildable coverage, it's medium coverage. That's it. And the shade range as well, I don't think is that great. I always struggled to find the right kind of shade for me. And what else? I've got the Dior one, the Dior, I don't remember what the name is. It's okay, but again, these ones definitely kind of, they won the race. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What am I wearing on my lips? Because I know you guys will ask. This is Colourpop's Ribbon Ultra Matte Liquid Lipstick from the Hello Kitty range. And it came with a matching gloss, which is called KT. As in, not K-E, like Katie Hopkins. Why do I use her? I hate her. As in the letters K and T. That's it. And that's the lip gloss that I'm wearing. And I have actually filmed a makeup tutorial on this entire look if you're interested to see. Other than that, I hope you guys found this video useful and helpful. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye.